Okay, everybody, the last section of chemical reactions chapter is all about complete ionic equations. For the honors kids, this is actually in this book in chapter 13, section 1, but it's best to do it now because it's really an extension of our double replacement reactions. In old books, it was the next section. For college prep kids, this is just section 8.3, so it's exactly the same in your book. Okay, so a complete ionic equation is going to show uh, all of those dissolved ionic compounds as their ions. And it really has us looking at what this term aqueous means. Aqueous means a solution made with water. So what does the water do? The water allows for the ions to float around freely. So if you have AgNO3 aqueous, it's really the Ag plus ion floating around and the NO3 minus ion floating around. So what you want to think of is that water molecules that do the dissolving, they are piranhas. You know what piranhas are? Okay, they are literally going to take the solid crystal that is in the water, and this piranha is going to pull one of these chlorides out and pull another one out and take it out piece by piece by piece, surrounding it completely with water. That's what a piranha does to something that falls in the Amazon. It's going to pull one out and pull another and pull another and pull another and pull another. Okay, so it's going to dissolve everything. And that's why things that are ionic and things that are dissolved can conduct an electrical current. And later on, we'll get into electrolytes and all that stuff in the solutions chapter. Okay, so this is what we're doing for a complete ionic reaction. Okay, so if we have AgNO3 aqueous and NaCl aqueous makes AgCl solid, this is our precipitate, and NaNO3 aqueous. What we're doing is anything that is aqueous in this double replacement reaction gets broken up. So AgNO3 is actually going to be Ag plus aqueous and NO3 minus aqueous. NaCl is really Na plus aqueous and Cl minus aqueous. These guys get broken up. Now, if something is a precipitate, that's not going to break up. Precipitates don't break up. They have piranha repellent. Okay, the attraction between the Ag plus and the Cl minus is so great that no matter how much the water tries to pull it apart, no flood is going to break up that relationship. No siree bob. Okay, only the weak ones are going to be, susceptible to the piranhas. So the NaNO3 gets broken up as the Na plus and the NO3 minus. And it's really, really an amazing kind of love story. All right. So when you break those up, okay, this is what your complete ionic equation will look like. It will look like Ag plus and NO3 minus and Na plus and Cl minus make AgCl solid, or if you want precipitate, Na plus and NO3 minus. What you'll notice is that on this left-hand side and this right-hand side, you have some repeating ions. They are ions that basically watched the formation of Ag plus and Cl minus together. So if these guys are what's really happening, what in the world is going on with the NO3 minus and the Na plus? Because it's Na plus and NO3 minus over here. They are spectators. They are watching what goes on. Okay, so we are Penn State. Okay, spectators, there's 110,000, I think, that can fit into the stadium. There's a lot of spectators, but there's really only 11 players on the field for your team at a time. These spectator ions aren't involved in making the precipitate. So what that means is that they were basically like the person that brought the Ag to the party and the Cl to the party. The NO3 and the Na plus didn't really do anything other than bring Ag and Cl, who found each other on this epic love journey. Okay, so if your spectator ions are Na plus and NO3 minus, your spectator ions can be omitted. They do not need to be in that original equation. So you can literally cross them out. So NO3 minus gets crossed out, Na plus gets crossed out, Na plus gets crossed out, and what is left behind is your net ionic equation. Okay, your spectator ions are always going to be those aqueous products, and your net ionic equation shows what actually happened. It will always be the combination reaction for making that precipitate, that gas, or that water. So this is going to be Ag plus and Cl minus making AgCl solid, your precipitate. Okay, so here we have everything crossed out, and then you have your net ionic equation here. Okay, so let's try one. Let's put this all together. Write the complete ionic equation, the net ionic equation, and identify the spectator ions for aqueous calcium nitrate reacting with phosphoric acid. Okay, so we have calcium and nitrate. Ca2 plus NO3 minus. Oh, hey, look, ions again. CaNO3 taken twice, aqueous. And phosphoric acid. Acids begin with H plus. Phosphoric. I got sick because I ate the whole thing, so phosphate is PO4 3 minus. This is H3PO4 aqueous. And then we are going to wife swap them, double replace them. Okay, we have Ca2 plus and PO4 3 minus. Crisscross that. We get Ca3 PO4 taken 2 times, and we get H plus and NO3 minus. That's going to be your nitric acid right there. So ask yourself the 3 questions. Did I make water? No. Did I make H2S? No. Did I make a precipitate? I don't know. So let's figure it out. Calcium and phosphate, that says insoluble. This one is aqueous right here. All right, so what do I do? Anything that is aqueous gets broken up, okay, because water is a piranha. So the complete ionic equation would break up the calcium and the nitrate, the phosphoric acid, and the nitric acid. It would leave this alone because this is piranha proof. It is not going to touch that. The attractive forces between the calcium and the phosphate are too great in order for something to break it apart. So calcium nitrate would be Ca2 plus aqueous and NO3 minus aqueous. And then I have H plus aqueous and PO4 3 minus aqueous. I know it's a lot of aqueuses, writing that over and over again. Your hand won't fall off. I've had like over 2,000 students. Not one of their hands have fallen off yet, and I don't think you'll be the first. And then you have your PO4 taken twice, your precipitate. I'm not going to touch him. It's piranha proof. If you want to put that in a box, you can. And then you have H plus aqueous and NO3 minus aqueous. Okay, so who are your spectator ions? Spectator ions are going to be the same on both sides of the equation, or the aqueous product. So HNO3. So it's going to be NO3 and H plus, and NO3. So cross them out. Those are not going to be involved directly in the formation of your product. They're just mainly going to float around. And then that leaves your net ionic equation. So that is who is left over. All right, you have Ca2 plus and PO4 3 minus, making Ca3 PO4 taken twice precipitate. So that is Ca2 plus and PO4 3 minus, yielding Ca3 PO4 taken twice precipitate. Is that balanced? No. One last step. So now I have to put a 3 here, and I have to put a 2 here in order to balance that out. You'll notice that the net ionic equation is the synthesis reaction for your precipitate. Okay? So again, if you cannot read my writing, you can push pause, see how it's all typed out for you. But this is an extension of our double replacement reaction. The outsides come together and the insides come together. You identify your ionic compound that isn't broken up. That is what is used down here for your net ionic equation. And then your spectator ions will be your aqueous product every time. So you can cross out your H pluses and your NO3 minuses and just leave what is left behind as your net ionic equation. So that would be your Ca2 plus PO4 3 minus, making Ca3PO4. And lastly, balance, balance, balance. Never leave an equation unbalanced. You're like literally defying the laws of nature. And that can't happen. Okay, so there you go. Those are complete and net ionic equations.